This is part 4, how drivers are paid. This is my employment with Crete Carrier Corporation. And that is the first week of my employment, my orientation, August 20th, 2016. We get $255 for 3 days of orientation. Federal withdrawal 13, Social Security 15, Medicare 3.7, the state tax about $5, and that is what you get as a net. There are no trips because orientation, no trips for the 824 and 825. Compared to Swift, Balkan Express, and Kelly Transport, Crete is one of the best companies in the market in terms of ethics, morality, and care about the driver. My second week of employment with Crete, that August 27th, my net pay was 1,146. As you can see now, there is a huge increase in pay. Crete started me with 45 cents per mile. That would have never been possible with Swift, Kelly Transport, or Balkan Express. I ended Balkan Express by 30, Kelly Transport with 30, so 45 cents per mile, that is a huge progress. How do you break it down? Out of 1,146, that is how much you get federal, Social Security, Medicare, and state. And we are not going to talk about the part, and the weight scale. Discuss that. My first trip was Crete from Lancaster, Texas to, well, the terminology here is hard. That is the origin and that is the destination. The origin was from Texas, destination most probably is Texas. And that's how many miles. And that's how much you get. All of them are 45 minutes, 45 cents per mile. And those are the earnings. Those are how many. Those are the miles. One of the longest trip here is started from Texas and ended in Ohio. And that one started from I think Columbus, Ohio, and ended in New York. And those are the dates of the trip from 826, 827, and 831. My third week with Crete started on September 3rd. As you can see, the pay is the same. I made $1,229, and the federal, everything here looks good. The federal, the Social Security, the Medicare, and the state withdrawal still have a scale. I think that is twice the scale. Those are the parts. How many trips we have I think from New York to Kentucky, that is 1,011 miles. From Kentucky to Utah, 1,007. As you see, the miles are good. Crete runs very good nationally. And the pay is no problem, no complaint for that kind of experience I had. At that time, I had only 2 years of forest. My fourth week was Crete, started in September 10th, made about $600.30 for a trip from Utah to Texas, 1,334 miles, and that is how much you get for the trip. And so far, you won't see any problems as far as cheating. Crete doesn't cheat a lot. They might make mistakes, but they don't cheat. Those are the parts. Those are the deduction and the reimbursement. The week that started September 17th, I made that much money, $1.50 and 54 cents. That was the rate for a trip from Texas to Georgia, about 970 miles. From Georgia to Ohio, 720 miles. And uh, that is the downtime. That is the downtime, I think, 23 here, 39 here. And that is PUT. I have no idea what does that mean. But that is an extra payment for something. And that is a deduction and reimbursement out of the $900. That is how much federal Social Security, Medicare, and taxes. Yes, there is cash advance here. There is cash advance, advance medical, advance vision, dental. I think that's cash advance. Looks here like a cash advance. What is the other? I don't know what other means. But those are money that was taken from the week of September 24th. The rate is 45 cents per mile. That is how many miles. Same hours here, but it is not hours. Something wrong with this number. If you look at here, the trip from Illinois to Louisiana, 757. From Louisiana to Ohio. From Ohio to Tennessee. The total number of miles, that is the total number of miles. Would that give you that number? Yes, it will give you that number. Because that's 1500 over 1600. It will give you that number. That is the miles, not the hours. That is the federal, Social Security, Medicare, and state income. Those are the benefits, the vision, the dental. That is kind of insurance. Here is the problem. They force you to buy a lock. That is how much money they took, and that is for a motel. That's miscellaneous. October 1st, 2016. That is how many miles I drove. The miles are very good, about 2100 miles in 1 week. The problem is that you don't reset 34 hours continuous with Crete. By the third year, I was already very sick because you don't go home, sit in the truck for so long. From Tennessee to Oklahoma, from Oklahoma to Ohio, from Indiana to Pennsylvania, and that is the miles, the rate, and that's how much money you make. But those are the statutory deductions, and those are the others, the advance dental, medical, vision, and that is the cash advance I took from myself. And that is a lock, deduction for the lock. That's some kind of insurance. And that is the tolls. Crete has no problem with the tolls. Those are the tolls. We're now on October 8th, 2016 with Crete. That is how many miles I drove. 1559 miles. That is the rate, 45 cents per mile. And that's how much money the gross. That was a trip from New Jersey to Ohio, from Ohio to Alabama, from Alabama to Georgia, and that is how much money you make. Those are the miles. That is the rate. That is the statutory deductions, and that is the advance medical, vision, and cash advance. So we are not going to look down at the check since I already took cash advance here. All you need to know now is this number here. And all you need to know are the miles, which is this number here. The rest of the stuff, you might need to know that they take money for the lock. They pay you that later on when you quit. You can take the money of the lock back. We are now on October 15th with Crete. That's how many miles I drove in 1 week, and that is the rate, and that is the trip from Georgia to Utah. That is a huge trip. That's 1,874 miles. And in that page you have the luck deduction, $35 every week until you pay about $200. And there is cash advance, the insurance. Now there is a missing period. We are in December 24th. What happened to the other weeks? I cannot find the receipt. I cannot find the paper for them. So we are now in December 24th. This is how many miles I drove in that week. And that is the rate. And that is how much money I made on that week. 1,144 cents. What is the long story here? How many? All these are trips. Looks like here you have one trip and another trip and another trip. Those are 4 trips. Those are the stops. Look at here, Crete is good in that. In the stops, they pay you $15 per every stop. That was a dedicated Walmart. Stop here, that's one, that is a stop, that's a stop, that is a stop, that is a stop, and that is the miles. Miles and miles. Miles. Because when you have multi-stop, here they bid for every stop. As you can see, the stop is $30 here, $30 here, and $30 here. That's 2 stops. Every stop is $15. How much money you get with all these? As you see, this is a lot of work. To stop a lot, cash advance with all the deduction. That is the net pay I get in my check. The luck is done here. There is no luck. This is the last week of December 2016. I was happy with Crete. And those are how many miles I made. I only made about $329 that week for a trip from Wyoming to Utah, from Utah to Utah, and that is the miles here were about not much. That is the lumber. That money, as you see, it is plus here and it is minus here. So they pay it and take it back. That's the insurance, that is the vision, and that is the cash advance. We are now in the first week of January 2017. As you see, we got a raise, 41 cent raise, from 45 cents per mile to 46 cents per mile. Crete is good in doing that, in giving raises. That week I made 2,200 miles and 2277 from Utah to Colorado, from Colorado to Arizona, from Arizona to Utah again. And that is a gross pay. The check here is clean. There is not much activity. The statutory deductions and the medical, dental, and vision deductions. There is no much stuff to talk about. This comment I made later on, that at that time I didn't know that you're supposed to get speed for detention, for drop and hook, and for day over. You don't do that when you are new in trucking. You have no experience. You don't know all the rights, all your rights. So you are happy that you just have a job. What you're making the minimum wage, almost the minimum wage, and you are happy with it. At least now you are happier than Swift, than Kelly Transport, and then Balkan Express. January 14th, the rate is 46. That is how many miles I made, 1,892. And you can see here I have cash advance. There is a way scale. We are now on January 21st, 2017. That is how many miles I drove, and that is the rate. And the activities here is cash advance and a skill and some kind of reimbursement and deductions. $109 you might get them from total trip deduction and reimbursement. The federal social security, Medicare, and state taxes. You have to remember that if you don't look at your check with Crete, it was okay not to look because they will. But when I caught them doing something wrong, I quit my job. That took 3 years to do that. But you see, there is an extra pay here called shag pay, $80 shag. I forgot what shag is. I think shag when you drive inside the city. You don't see a shag pay in any other company. Swift or Kerry Transport or Barkan, they don't do the shag. January 28th, that is how many miles I drove. That is the rate. There is cash advance and some kind of deduction and reimbursement. And here is some of the numbers here are hard to understand. That is understood. Those are the federal and the state deduction. Those are the health insurance and benefits. That is the trailer parts that I bought and I got my money back. We are in February 4th, 2017. The rate is 46 cents per mile. Ooh, that is a huge distance. Can that be true? Can you drive 4,000 miles in 1 week? There must be an overlap between 2 weeks. The origin here is from Washington. Yes, from Washington to Texas. From Texas to Texas. From Arkansas to Missouri. From Missouri to Nebraska. From Nebraska to Iowa. And those are the miles. That's a huge mileage. And that's how much money I made from that. That is the gross pay, $1,864.48. See the other details. Those details are tricky. You need to make sure the statutory deductions are okay and the benefits that you choose are okay, because you are going to see sometimes suspicious activity. That is the cash advance I took, 125, and those are the tolls. Everything other than that looks good. How did you get 116? Those are the tolls, cash advance. What is the 116? I will leave it for now. We are now in February 11th. That is how much money I made. That is how many miles I drove. And that is the rate, 46 cents per miles from origin from Iowa to Illinois, from Illinois to Colorado, from Colorado to Utah. And those are the miles. That is the rate for every trip. That is the total, and that is the rate per mile. Try to inspect closely the statutory deductions, the benefit deductions, the cash advance, parts I bought for the trailer. So everything here looks clean. We are now on February 18th. That is how many miles I drove. That is the rate. And that is a trip from Utah to California. California, then Arizona. That is Arizona to Utah to California to Arizona. Does that work? Yeah. That is how many miles every trip. That is the rate per mile. And that is how much money you make per every trip. Here is the deduction of the statutory deduction, the cash advance, the benefit deduction, and everything else looks clean. February 25th, 2017. That is how many miles I drove, and that is the rate. As you can see here, there are two stop pay. Stop pay means the pay per stop. Every time you stop at a store to deliver, you get paid $15. That's the Walmart dedicated that Crete takes care of it. It's mostly the high volume perishable, like the food, the frozen, the cold stuff that you have to have a freezer to deliver. Stop pay here is 15 times 2 and another stop pay 15. So that is the gross pay for that stops or the trips. There are one trip here that have two stops and the one trip here that has two stops. Trip with two stops and there is one in the middle. From Utah, MN, I think that's Minnesota. From Minnesota to Minnesota. Yeah, that's Minnesota. That is Walmart DC in Minnesota. From Minnesota to Minnesota, and from Minnesota to Minnesota. Because in Walmart DC, the trip starts and ends in the same DC. DC means distribution center. That is why you see that notation Minnesota and Minnesota starts and ends in the same. And the MK, that I think MANK, that is the name of the distribution. And you have one stop here and one stop here. This stop has two stops. That's one stop. So you have 15 here and you have 30 here. And the rest are the miles. Deductions are familiar. The benefit deductions are familiar. There's trailer parts here. And the reimbursement here is the $33 that comes from the trailer parts. We are now in March 4, 2017. The rate is 46. That is how many miles I drove. And there are two stops here, stop bay, and another one stop bay here. That is how much the gross pay. At that time I was on a dedicated assignment in Minnesota Walmart. As you can see here, all of it starts from Minnesota and ends in Minnesota. The deductions are familiar. The benefits are familiar. There is a scale here, and the scale is give and take the same amount of money. We are now in March 11th, 2017. Now I left the DC, the Washington, the Walmart DC. The rate, this is the rate. That's how many miles I made. That is how little money I made at that week. From Ohio to Tennessee, 377 miles. And that is cash advance. As you see, there is no state deduction here because there is too little money. And that is a scale. We're now in March 18th. Now we have too much work here, comes from the week before. 3,084 miles. That's the rate. That's how much money I made by driving that much. And how did it happen? From Ohio to California. That's the same trip, Ohio to California. And from Fort Worth, from Utah, from California to Utah, from California to Utah. And that is, the stop pay here is one stop that they paid on it $30, and that stop pay $30 for that stop. That stop happened where? Stop happened in the trip between from Ohio to California. Here is the tolls, and tolls, cash advance. The rest of the deductions are, that is, these are the tolls. The rest of the deduction. Only thing here, there is no benefit deductions. There is only statutory deductions. There is only statutory deduction. There is no benefit deduction. And that is the year to date. That is, at that time of the year, I made that much money, which is March something. Crete is much better than every other company. Now we are in March 25th. That is how many miles I drove. There are two stop bay here. Here is the stop bay is different. So you get every stop at $30, you get $60. Why it is different? I don't know yet. That's how much money the gross pay. That is a trip from Utah to California, then from California to California, then from California to Nevada. Stop bay happened here in California. The stop bay means bay per stop. They are not stopping the bay. And that's the cash advance, and that is the dental deduction. April 1st, 2017. That is how many miles I drove, and that is the rate. There is no stop bay here. For a trip from Nevada to California, from California to Washington, from Washington to Oregon, from California to Washington again, from Washington to Oregon. That's correct. This trip is the same, this 49 and 49. And this trip, that only 3 trips here. Oh, there's something here. You can tell now there is something. This is detention, $21. And this is detention, $9. So there are only 3 unique trips. Those are the detention on this trip. Crete, you don't fight a lot with detention. You just have to file the paperwork. Only thing is they annoy you when they don't pay you the layover and they insist not to pay it. But as you tell, here is a detention for $30. And here is a mile pay for $827. How did they make the $9 here and the $21 here? I don't know. Now we are in April 8th, 2017. That is the detention, $126. And that is the miles I drove. And we have 2 stop pay here. 2 stop, 2 times 30 give you $60. That is very unique to Crete. Crete pays you detention, yes. And if you argue with them, you will get your money, no problem. But usually you don't argue, just file the paperwork. And here is a stop pay. Also, Crete is good at that. If you work for Kelly, they steal all the money and they cannot get anything. They give you a bonus $25, just cheating you. Balkan doesn't pay any detention or stop pay. Swift, they try to blame you for being late. So they don't pay you this much money as detention or this much money as stop pay. But Crete is unique in that. In addition to the rate is high, 46 cents per mile. For a trip from Oregon to Oregon, Oregon to California, Oregon to California, and you have the California, Utah, and you have miles, stop pay 2, miles, and detention. DETE is the detention, 126. That is the best bargain I got at that time of my employment. These deductions are okay. Here you have cash advance. You have this, I don't know what is this money. STCIS. I know what are this money. Maybe that is the number because you can see 722 here and 721 here. Why is the dollar? Yes, reimbursement. When okay, they put the dollar. At least they corrected themselves. This is the 722, and this is the 722. They they made a mistake. They corrected. That is a trailer. Here you are going to have a lot of notations. We need that. So they made the tension good. The stop is not bad, but there is no drop pay, there is no hook pay, there is no layover pay. When you work in trucking, you get used to becoming cheap, so you don't think you deserve to get paid for everything you do. That is labor. You're supposed to get paid for work. That is the week of April 14th. That is how much detention I got, $54. That is the downtime, $37.85. That is how many miles I drove, and that is the rate. Downtime, when you break down, trip from Utah to California, from Arizona, Utah, California, that is the detention, and that is the miles, and that is the down, baby. The breakdown, baby. That is familiar, statutory deduction, that is a cash advance, that is the benefits, those are the parts. So now in April 22, that is how many miles I drove. That is the stop pay, $30 from Utah to California. The trip from California to Washington, and there is a stop pay on the Washington trip, $30. Is there anything irregular here? This is familiar. Statutory deductions, two are familiar. This one is not. CCIS, well, number. Make it in a fancy way. This one here is taken back here. Is paid back. And that is the scale. We are now in April 29, 2017. I drove a lot of miles, 2111. That is the rate, 46 cents. Remember, 46 cents per mile means at the end of the year you are going to make $46,000 by the end of the year. We are going to see very close to that. That is how you judge things in the trucking industry without having to think a lot. That's how much money I made that week for a trip from origin Washington to California, from California to Colorado, and those are the miles on each trip. That is the rate, and that is how much money I made on each trip, and that is the total. The statutory deductions looks okay, the benefits looks okay, and that is the cash advance. And everything here looks fine. That's the cash advance, and that is the reimbursement. On March 6, 2017, I drove more miles, 2,560. That's how much I made. Remember, here there is a stop pay. As we said, stop pay means a pay per stop. It means multiple stop, you get paid $30. You saw before the stop pay was $15. Why do you get 15 sometimes and 30 sometimes? I don't have an answer for that. But most probably contract between the company and the customer. The trip from origin Colorado, California, California to Idaho, Idaho to Idaho, and Idaho to Idaho. That's the stop. One of them is stop pay, and two of them are the miles. That is how much I made, and that is the rate per mile, and that is the rate per stop. Let's see how the deductions look like. The statutory deductions looks okay. The benefits are three items. That is a cash back. That is the tolls, $50 tolls. $50 tolls. Large scale, and you are going to have the same the tolls here, that's tolls and the tolls, that's $50 here. That is the scale here, that is the cash back here, and those are the bars. Now we can understand what trailer, this means a trailer bar. That means the com data cash advance. And that means the weigh scale. On March 13, 2017, that is how many miles I made in that week. That's how much I made. That's the stop day. $30 stop day. Crete, as you see, it's superior to Swift, Kelly Transport, and Balkan Express. They're more honest. They pay you for the stop, they pay you more for the miles. 46. You cannot beat that with other guys. Stop from Florida, Miami, Florida. The origin was Idaho to Miami, Florida. That is the long from Idaho, 2,646 miles. The stop pay one. That's how much I need. Let us look at the statutory deductions. The benefits SCISS. That is something, probably is cash advance. The number, that is others. What others mean? What does other? You look at the numbers, and that is reimbursement service charge. And those are the. I think we can make sense here by trying to figure out where this number come from. This number came from 327 plus 150 plus the service charge. If you add this together, yes, 701 will give you 8, 2, 5 will give you the 7, 3, 4 will give you the 4. So that is the number and the other charges. What other charges I have? Did not say what other charges. You can have the number here. Those are the number. And that is the total. Those are some other details here. We are March 20, 2017. That is how many miles I drove. That is the rate. There is no stop pay here. That is the gross payment. And that is the year to date for the gross. We are now in May. And that is how much money I made in May. In about 5 months. I made $20,000. That gives you an idea how much money you are going to make at the end of the year. Trip from Florida to South Carolina, from South Carolina to Indiana, from Indiana to Iowa, from Iowa to Nebraska. And that is the rate. Those are the miles per trip. And that is how much money you make per every trip. And that is the net pay. The deductions are statutory deductions, federal, Social Security, Medicare, and state. The benefits are those benefits, and those are, I think, those are cash advances. And the 50 cents for some kind of service charge, $5 toll, those are the parts, that is the scale. Everything here looks okay. Now in the last week of May 2017, that is how many miles I drove. There is no stop pay, and that is how much the gross pay for a trip from origin is Nebraska, ended in Utah, from Utah ended in Oregon. That is the rate, that is the pay, those are the miles, that is the net. The deductions don't look strange, that is the cash advance. Everything else looks. Now we get used to read your check segments. Remember, if you wait for 180 days, that's 6 months, you cannot claim your benefits. If they cheat you, they cheat you. I think the court can support you for a year, 1 year, but sometimes I don't know the difference between the state court and the federal court. But if you wait too long, they can cheat you and they can get away with it. That is June 6th. That is the rate. That is how many miles. That's very little money. Very little money. For a trip from Oregon to California, statutory deductions, cash advance. That is June 10th. A lot of details here. That explains why the previous check was very little. Here I drove 3,000. That's not in 1 week, that is in 2 weeks. 3,300. Miscellaneous, I got paid 35. What for? I don't know. The stop pay is 2. Here you ask yourself, why 2 stops here are 15 each? So you get 30. You won't have an answer for that. That is a total day. But you can get some idea right here. I will show you how that's 50. Where does this 15 come from? Why it is not 30? From California to Colorado. From Colorado to Nebraska. From Nebraska, I got stuck. When I get to Nebraska, I worked for a Walmart dedicated. Look at the difference now. When you work Walmart dedicated, you start from the DC, you end up in the DC. You come back to the DC, you go back to the DC. You come back to the, you leave the DC, you come back to. That is why the stop pay here is cheap. Because Walmart doesn't pay that much. Or Crete make that arrangement, so you get paid less per stop at Walmart than other customers. That is how many miles I made. That is the rate per each trip. That is the earning per each trip. And that there is a miscellaneous here, 35. I think that miscellaneous, I cannot think. There is a miscellaneous here and there are 2 stops here. Deduction, the statutory deductions. For the benefits supposed to be 3. Here is a problem. Here is a huge problem. Here is a huge problem. Garnishment. I never saw that for almost a year after my check was garnished. Who garnished my check and how come that I didn't know, I did not get a letter or any acknowledgement that somebody is going to take that money from my check. That is garnishment. Now we can pay attention to that. You don't know who took the money. You have a dispute with somebody, you go to court, you never know. The court issue a decision, they cannot find you, they find your check, they take the money from you. We are now in June 17. That is good miles. 2,305. That's how much money I made that week. Remember here, this is a stop pay. The stop pay, how much money stop pay? $60. How comes? Going to see a trick. He did not tell you. This is the 4 stops. How did I know it's 4? I got used to it. That's 4. That is 1 year. That is 1. And that is 1. And that is 1. 4 stops, each one is $15. All of them, as you see, Nebraska to Nebraska. And the NB1, that is the name of the DC. It's North Platte, Nebraska, Walmart DC. And that is how much money I made. Those are the rates. The rate is the same. Those are the miles, and that is the payment per each trip. Let us see if there is any irregular deduction. That's a statutory deduction, normal. There is another garnish. That is $202. That is almost now $300 garnish. What happened to the benefits? They did not take it this month. Why? I don't know. Here's empty. This is empty. There is a question mark. Put that question mark a year later. So far, $500 garnish. July 1st, 2006. That is how much miles I drove. From Indiana, from Missouri to Indiana, from Indiana to Maryland, from Virginia to Philadelphia. That is the rate. That is how much money I made on that week. There is a garnishment, $134. Again, as you see here, no, they did take the medical. Those are the insurance, the medical, dental, vision, and that is the garnishment. Those are the parts. That is we already gone through. We are now in July 8th, 2017. That is how little miles I drove from Pennsylvania to Michigan, from Michigan to Wisconsin, from Wisconsin to Iowa. That is how much money I made. Another garnishment, $162. That is July 29th. That is how many miles I drove. That is how much money I made from Colorado to Washington, from Oregon to California, and there is another garnishment here. Don't know what is the total. I did not pay attention to the garnishment for almost a year. I didn't know that somebody is taking money for almost a year. This is August 5th. That is decent amount of miles from California to Idaho. From Idaho to California. Those are the miles, that is the rates, this is the amount of money. There's another garnishment here. It's almost now over $1,000 garnish. That looks like the money advance or no, this is the number. There is no stop pay here. It's August 12th. That's how little miles I drove from Arizona to Utah, from Wyoming to Washington. That is the rate, statutory deduction, a garnishment here again, trailer parts and the scale. August 19th, how many miles I drove, how little money I made. When you drive a truck and you don't go home, you are not even reading your own check. It's little garnishment. Does that mean you are done? We're going to see. That's scheduled. When you drive a truck, you are just eating and driving and nothing else. August 26th, and you see drivers Thanksgiving and New Year's, you can pay a tip $100 to somebody. Drivers don't care too much about money. The money comes, the money goes. You don't even read your own check. That's very decent amount of miles. That is how much money I made for a trip from Kansas to Oregon. Oregon to Oregon, Washington to Idaho. All of them are miles. There is no stop pay. That is the rate. That is the amount of money. The garnishment is over now. There is no garnishment here. There is only cash advance, statutory deductions, medical benefits, the scale. Now we can tell now the WT is the weight and that is the scale. The COM data, that is your we are on September 2nd, 2017. Here is the miles are not bad. 2,887. There is miscellaneous $35. When you say miscellaneous means somebody is trying to cover something. I have to say what is miscellaneous. When you look at number 5, part 5, when I discuss Walmart, everything is different with Walmart. From Utah to Nebraska, from Nebraska to Indiana, from Indiana to Ohio, from Ohio to South Dakota, from Utah to Michigan. These miles here, these are the miles, and those are at the bottom, these are miscellaneous, and this is detention. Detention is $6. It's not bad. You are going to see the problem very soon, next year, the following year. Before I quit, they screwed up. They don't pay me detention for a year and that. Miscellaneous at $35. Statutory deductions are normal. There is no garnish. Those are the benefits. This is the cash advance, and that's $500. I remember that. That was a torture trip. That amount of money, it was a lumber and a fine. This is a fine. This is a fine with Albertson. This is the lumber, and this is the surface. You add this together, it will give you this number. And this was a torture trip in, I think, Oregon or California, where I have to wait for a long time. The driver before me was not able to make it on time, so Crete have to pay that much fine, $500 fine. September 9th, 2017, that's how many miles I made. That is the rate for a trip from Nebraska to Utah. That is how much money I made. Nebraska to Utah, that makes sense? Yes, 1,100. The statutory deductions, there is no garnishment here, there is no much details. We are now in September 16, 2017. How little miles I drove from Utah to California, Redland, California. From California to Utah, but that is detention. Detention is $126. That is not bad. Because something happened here, I forgot what it is. But those are the miles, and that is the rates, and those are how much money you make, statutory deductions, medical benefits, and that is how much money I made so far this year in September. We are in September 23rd, 2017. That is not bad. It's a very decent amount of miles. It's not very good either. That's how much money I made. Driving from Utah to California, from California to Montana. That's what I remember, Montana. From California to Montana, there is a stop. Pay here is $30. I remember that, and that is the cash advance, and the deductions looks normal. We are at the last week of September 2017. The miles are great here, almost 3,000. And there is a miscellaneous $35 here. What happened to that miscellaneous? Where did it happen? It happened on that trip from Washington to Washington, from Pasco, Washington to Sumner, Washington. Trip from origin Wisconsin to California, California to Washington, and from Washington to Idaho. And that is how much money I made in that week. And there is a miscellaneous here, $35. When you look at the deduction, there is nothing suspicious. That is the cash advance. Those are the tools. That is the cash advance. That is the reimbursement. We are now into October 7, 2017. The miles are not bad at all, about 2,800 miles from New York, from Idaho to New York, from New York to Wisconsin. That is how much I made. Those are the miles, that is the rate, and those are how much per each trip. Everything looks okay. Statutory, medical, cash. We come now to October 14th. The miles are not bad, but they are not good. From Wisconsin to Colorado, California, from California. No, this is not from. This is the same trip. There is a detention here. The deductions, that looks okay. There is something here. Two items are strange here. We find out. This is the medical benefits. This amount of money is paid here as lumber. That is lumber to unload. And this amount of money is cash advance. Now we can figure out some abbreviations here. That means LP means lumber to unload, and the 119 lumber is 19. October 21st, 2017. That is the miles. That is miscellaneous $35. From California to Colorado, from Colorado to Utah, from Utah again to Utah, and there is a miscellaneous here. And that's how much money I made on that week. The deductions look normal. The last week of October 2017, the miles are great here, close to 3,000 miles in that week, or a week and something. So much money I made. From Utah to California, from California to Utah, from Utah to Texas. All of them are miles. There is no stop pay here. So much money I made here. Nothing suspicious by just looking on it. There is no cash advance here. November 4, 2017. The miles are not bad. There is detention here, $12. From Texas to Oregon, from Texas to Oregon. This is the detention. That is a $12 detention. That's how much money I made from. The deductions, nothing suspicious. That is a cash advance. November 11th, 2017. That is how little miles I drove, how much money I got as a net from California to Oregon, from Washington to Utah, from California. This is detention. That's $15 detention. The deductions are simple. There is only cash advance here. That is the only thing you can spot. Those are regular. Those are regular. Statutory on November 18th, 2017. Something here there is no miles here. There is only miscellaneous $35. What is suspicious here? Maybe it's the long trip. Those are the mile 27 miles, or either the wrong trip the week before or the week after. from Utah to Utah, 27 miles. That's how little money I made. There is no much introduction. November 25th, 2017, the miles are not bad. From Utah, Washington, from Washington to California. That's how much money I made in that week. There is a cash advance here that much. The rest are okay. That is the weight scale and those are the marks. We are now in December 2nd, 2017. Those are the miles I drove. That is miscellaneous $35. From California to Loveland, Colorado. From Colorado to Colorado. There is miscellaneous from Colorado to Nebraska. From Wyoming to Idaho. From Idaho to Oregon. There is only here the miscellaneous of $35. And that is how much money I made in that week. Deductions that looks regular. There is cash advance. The dental, the medical, another cash advance. That one of those will be lumber. Yes, that 19 will be paid back here. That 125, that is went to in my pocket. That is your scale. We are now in December 9th, 2017. That's how little miles I drove. That's how much money I made from Oregon to California. And that is how much money I made so far for this year. Statutory deductions, cash advance, parts. We are now advancing in December 2017. That is December 16th. The miles here are great. There is also detention, $264 detention. Why? I think there is some problem happened that I was detained for a few days. Can you tell? Probably can tell. From California to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Look at the dates, you can tell. December 9th to December 19th. There is a lot of gap here. And that is in December. I think there was a snowstorm that I have to be sit inside flying again for a few days. From Pennsylvania to Pennsylvania, that is miles. From California to Philadelphia, that is detention, $264. That's how much money I made. That is the deductions, statutory. There is a cash advance here, and there is lumber here. We are getting to the end of the year. That is December 23rd, 2017. As you see here, the miles are huge because that's more than a week. The stop pay are also not bad. We have 30 and 30, $60 stop pay. One of them a cheap one, and one of them is $30. Why it happens? Because I went back to work for the miserable Walmart DC. Look at here, once you get to Nebraska, get stuck with the same DC. North Platte, Nebraska, North Platte, Nebraska. There is a stop here, there is a stop here, there is a stop here. The miles, those are the miles. Nebraska, there was a problem with a lady in the dispatch. I think her name is Susan or Sue. Very annoying woman. She calls you in the middle of the night, asks you, why did you stop to have coffee? It's 12 o'clock in the middle of the night, and she wants the delivery to be at 3 o'clock in the morning. That was a nightmare. The North Platte, Nebraska, Walmart. That woman was annoying, very annoying. Why do you have to go to the restroom? Because I am a human being. There is a cash advance. The last week of 2017, December 30th, that is miles, 2 items in the miles. That is the stop pay, $60 stop pay. We are going to see that situation. This is a Walmart dedicated in North Platte. That Susan woman, I remember her twice calling me. She has the delivery starting late at midnight, and she wants you to stay all night long without going to the restroom. That is the DC. That is the DC stops. That's before I broke away from them. That's the stop and stop pay, $30 here and $15 here. Once I broke away from the Nebraska North Platte, I started heading another Nebraska, but that was different. Now I was free from Nebraska. All Nebraska. No, it is the same North Platte. The same miserable. How much money I made on that? It is a cash advance. The rest looks usual deduction. Those are the trailer parts. First week 2018, January 6th, very little amount of money. Remember here, we got a raise. That is a good thing about Crete. Got a 1 cent raise, 27 cents per mile. Trip from Kansas to California. That is how many miles, a new rate. That's how much I made. Crete is okay when they give you raises. Swift will not do that to you. Credit transport will steal your wallet, will pick your wallet, destroy you. Balkan is a criminal employer. That is the statutory and that is the medical insurance. This is January 13, 2018. That is how little money I made. From California to Utah, from Utah to California, that's how much money, that's the new rate per miles. The deductions are not suspicious, everything looks okay. That is the scale. How do you get a scale? $15. Because you get $11, you rescale and rescale again. But that will cause problems to Crete because they made the scale here $15. Once they made the scale, they forgot 50 cents, and that alerted me to something, and I discovered something big, a mistake that caused me to quit later, which you are going to see it very soon. For now, in January 27, 2018, the miles are okay. That is a very regular, almost 2,500. The rate is good, very pleasant, a good signature, a good sign from the company, a good gesture, and that is how much money I made. You are very happy when you make this money after you suffer from Swift and Kelly Transport and Bark. But when you get to Walmart, the astronomical increase in benefits, in pay, in detention. Everything here looks normal. We are now in February 3rd, 2018. That is how much I drove. That's how much I made from Tennessee to Philadelphia, from Philadelphia to Ohio, from Ohio to Wisconsin, from Wisconsin to Nebraska. All are miles. There is no detention here. There is no stop pay. Now there is no detention as you saw. Statutory deductions, that is cash advance, that was lumber, and those are the 50 cents for the surface. Those are parts, that is for the scale. February 10th, that is how little miles I drove from Nebraska to Utah, from Utah to Colorado. That is how much money I made. The deductions are expected. In February 17, 2018, the miles are great. There is a detention here, $48. There is a stop pay here, $60. That is how much money I made. From Colorado to Wisconsin, from Illinois to Colorado, from Colorado to Wisconsin, from Wyoming to Wyoming, from Wyoming. Now I got it. That is another miserable DC. That is where Crete deal with. That is a Cheyenne store. That you can tell here from Wyoming to Wyoming for the 3 stops. Once you get to that store, the manager alcoholic, and every other day, every time I have to run away from him when he asks me to come to the office to explain why I was late. Drivers don't go to the office for companies. I was late because the load was late. That is a detention. That is a stop. Pay. I got his name. He was very tall manager. I used to joke with him that he needs to have the door of his room to be cut at the top so he can get his head inside. Every time I see him, he looks like he was sleeping under a bridge. That is the statutory deduction, and that is the lumber, will be taken from here, and that is the cash advance. When I quit Crete with another fellow, we were talking about these man. I forgot his name, Daniel or something, or Danny. I think Danny was his name. Every week he would call me asking me to come to the office to investigate why I was late. I was supposed to work for him only 1 week a year. So when you extend for another 2, 3 weeks for a month, it doesn't appreciate. That is February 24th. Those are how many miles. Here you can tell the stop pay is a lot. It's all these are stop pay. That's 7 here and 1 here, but this one is expensive. So 105. When you have a stop pay means you're working for Walmart. How do you tell? You tell from this plaque here. Wyoming, all this plaque tells you that you are working for Walmart right here. Because no, all of it, not only this part. All of them. All of them, you start from Wyoming, and you ended up in Wyoming. Except one in the middle. I don't know what is this one in the middle doing here. But here where you get the stop here, and stop here, stop here, stop here, stop here. But here there are 3 stops. Here there are 2 stops. Then 1 here and 1 here. Because you work for Walmart, deliver groceries. The groceries you have to stop by every store to deliver half or 1 part of the trailer. Then you go to the other store and so on. It's not fun at all working for the groceries. It's a torture job. Too much work, too little money, and by the end of a month, my heart rate was very high. It took me 2 weeks to get my heart rate to slow down. Statutory deductions and the medical bill. We're now on March 3rd, 2018. That is the miles. When you have a stop pay means it was Walmart. At Walmart, you are not supposed to work more than 1 week, but you can volunteer or they can keep you if they see that you are complacent, you are not protesting, they keep you because they are going to abuse the hell out of you. As you can tell here, this is Cheyenne Walmart. This is starting from Wyoming. You have stop here 3 stops, you have here 1 stop, you have 1 stop here. Problem with Wyoming, with Walmart, Crete make you work for Walmart is because Crete does the dedication for the groceries, and the groceries always deliver him at night. So you can start in Cheyenne 10 o'clock at night. You have to get to Albuquerque at 10 o'clock in the morning. You're driving the whole night on I-25, very dark and snow. We are now here in March, almost the end of the snow season. By the time you get to Albuquerque, you are almost walking dead. So you sleep during the day, you have to come back at night. After 1 week or 2 trips of that kind, when I took my week off, when I went home, I wasn't able to raise my own arm. My heart rate was very high. Every time I raise my arm, my heart rate speeds up and almost debilitating situation. This is not a human job. This job is it's impossible to do the groceries at night in that miserable Cheyenne, Wyoming store. Delivering over passes to Colorado, Rabbit Ears, and Vail, and Loveland, it's no fun at all at night. That is how much the cash advance, everything else looks normal. In March 10, 2018, we are still in the same miserable DC. That is a Cheyenne, Wyoming DC. As you can tell here, there is 8 stop pay and there is another one here. So there is 9 stop pay. It's working for Walmart. And that is how many miles I drove. That is a killer work. That week I almost died with my heart, ischemic heart, because of working at night, driving all night, because there is no sun. You don't see anything at night. Driving over the mountains, snow. There is a stop here, 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 there is a stop here. That is why Walmart dedicate these routes to Crete, because If they put Walmart driver on them, they are going to kill them. So they use cheap company to do the groceries over the mountains, delivering to the stores in the heart of the Rocky. Everything here looks simple. There is no detention here, but at least we got paid here. We got paid for the stops. We are going to see soon that will disappear very soon. April 14th, there are few weeks or months I cannot find them. That is the miles. That's how much money for a trip from origin, Georgia to Illinois, Missouri to Texas to Nebraska. That's how much money. In that part of the country there are tolls, yes. There are tolls here, that's tolls. These are cash advance. The tolls here is $15. The part is $10 and the scale is 23. How do you get a scale 23? 1150, that's $23. We are now in April 21st. There is performance bonus, $25. Yeah, that is because of the miles were too much, $3,000. And that is the rate was okay. From Nebraska to California, from California to Arizona, from Arizona to Utah, and that is how much money I made. Those are the miles, and that was a performance bonus. The deductions looks normal. We are now in April 28th, 2018. There is miscellaneous pay here, $15. That is how much miles I made. There is an astonishing move from Crete. They raise the rate to 49 cents. 49 cent rate, that is a great news. 49 immediately because they are afraid I'm going to quit. That's the miscellaneous $15 from Utah to Utah and from Wyoming to California. That's how much money I made. Now we are on May 5th, 2018. We are celebrating now the new rates, 49 cents per mile. For I quit, because I did quit after that. And the miscellaneous $35. And the stop pay is two of them for $60. From the miscellaneous $35 from California to California, from California to Oregon, from Oregon to Oregon, from Oregon to Oregon. Both those are one stop here. And the miscellaneous here. And that's how much I made total. In May 18, 2018, the miles are great here, not bad. There is a miscellaneous $35. There are two stop pay $60. And the rate, as you see, is 49 cents now. It's sure. It's definite. From Oregon to California, from California to California, from California to Oregon, from California to Oregon, that is a stop. Two stops. $30 each. And the deductions are as usual except the cash advance. And that's how much money I made at that month of the year. We are now in May 19, 2018. There is no stop pay here, there is no detention. Most probably that's the beginning of the problem. Those are the miles I made. That's how much money I made. From the origin here is from Oregon to Utah, from Utah to Arizona, from Arizona to Utah. All of them are miles. Something is missing, but there are nothing here. No, there is something suspicious here. There is no payment for the medical detention. There is a plaque missing. In May 26, 2018, the miscellaneous at $35. Very little miles. That is the total amount of money I made from the origin from Utah to Utah, from Utah to California. You have no money. You have cash advance. Now we are in June 2nd, 2018. There is no detention so far. That is how little miles I made. That's all the money I made from California to Oregon, from Washington to California. Here the benefits came back. There is a scale here. June 9th, the miles here are maximum 2900. Also the pay is good, the rate is good. So that's how much money I made. That's from California to Maryland. That is a cross country trip. That's 2900 from California to Maryland. They don't look suspicious. That is the cash advance. June 16, there is no detention so far. That is how little miles I drove from New Jersey to Illinois, from Illinois to Nebraska. That is how much money I made. Deductions are not such. Now we are in June 23rd, 2018. There is something suspicious, of course. The detention is absent. We are going to see that later on. That is how little the miles I drove. That's how much money I made from Colorado to Utah, from Nebraska to Colorado. June 30th, 2018, the miles here are huge, 3,030. That is how much money I made from Utah to Texas, from Texas to Illinois, from Illinois to Missouri, from Iowa to Nebraska. All of them are miles, remember, there is no detention here. That's going to cause a problem soon. That's not going to be discovered for a while. July 7, 2018, the miles are not bad. That is how much money I made from Nebraska to Arizona, from Arizona to Utah. Now we are in July 21st, 2018, and that is the rate we make, the 49 cents per mile. That is how little driving I did, and that is how little money I made. That was a trip from Utah to California. 610 miles, made $298.99. Deductions statutory are expected and the benefits as expected. July 28th, the miles here compensated for the previous week, 2,683 miles. There is no detention here or stop pay. That is how much money I made. That was a trip from California to Alabama. Woo! That is 2,683 miles. Deductions, nothing strange. Statutory and the benefits. And those are the parts. There is no cash advance. On August 4th, 2018, I made also very good mileage. 2,526 miles. That is how much I made. That was a trip from, we are now in Alabama to Indiana, from Indiana to Minnesota, from Wisconsin to Nebraska, from Nebraska to Indiana. And the rate, everything here is miles only. There is no detention, there is no stop pay. This is how many miles. Those are the rates, 49 cents per mile. That is the earning per every trip, and that is the total earning for the week. Deductions are as usual. We are now on August 11, 2018. The miles dropped a little, 1,729, but there is a stop pay here, 1 unit of $30, or pay per stop. That was a trip from Indiana to Nebraska. That is a stop, that's stop pay, from Indiana to Nebraska, and from Nebraska to Utah, and that is a total payment for that week. Nothing unusual about the deductions. August 18, 2018, there was a down time, $151.32, and those are the miles I made, 2,128, and that was a trip from Utah to Indiana, from Indiana to Wisconsin. That is how much money I made in that week, and the deductions are as not as usual. There is a cash advance here, and the benefits are not paid for whatever reason it is, and there is a scale. The week of August 25th, 2018, there is a stop pay of 1 unit, $30. That is how many miles I drove, 2,135. A trip from Minnesota to Ohio, from Ohio to New York. That was the same trip from Ohio to New York with a stop pay on it. From New York to Michigan. That is the total payment for that week. And the deductions are as expected, except something here, check advance. That money here is paid back here. That is the lumber. We are now in September 1st, 2018. There is a miscellaneous $25, and those are the miles. There is something new here. There is a raise. The raise was made in the middle of the week. 51 cents. That is a new raise. As you see now, we started 45, I think. We got to 47, 46. Now we are at 51 cents per mile. From Michigan to Georgia, from Georgia to Florida, from Florida to Kentucky, from Kentucky to Ohio. And one of them was the rate at 49 cents, and three at the rate of 51 cents. All of them are miles, except a miscellaneous for $25. And that is the total I made. That the deductions, statutory deductions, other deductions, state and federal. No, sorry, these are the benefits, and that is the scale. We are now in September 8th, 2018. We have a new raise now. That's 51 cents per mile, and that is how many miles I made. That is how much money I earned in that week for a trip from Ohio to New York, from New York to Michigan, from Michigan to New York again, and those are the miles and the new rate of 51 cents, and that is how much money I made per each trip, and that is the total. The deductions here are as expected, statutory, and the benefits. There is a lumber here, there is a lumber here. $184, that 50 cents will be taken down here as service charge. We are now in September 15, 2018. That is how many miles I drove. That's how much I made. And that is a trip from New York to Ohio, from Ohio to Georgia, from Alabama to Florida, from Georgia to Alabama. All of them are miles. There is no detention here. Those are the miles, the rate, and the earning per each trip. Deductions are as expected, except the trailer parts here. As you see, when you keep watching your check statements, you get used to it. You can spot any irregular behavior without too much effort. That is September 22nd, 2018. That is the miles I drove. That is how much. And that's from Alabama to Texas, from Texas to Utah. Everything here are miles, no detention, no stop pay, no miscellaneous expected, nothing irregular except cash advance. We are on September 29th, 2018. That is how little miles I drove. That's how little money I made for a trip from Utah to Arizona. 768 miles. Deductions are as expected. We are now in October 6, 2018. The miles here are more than before. 2,790 miles, that's how much I made for a trip from California to Colorado, from Wyoming to Idaho, from Idaho to California, and that is the rate 51 cents, and that is the total earning for that week. There are no detention here, there is no miscellaneous, there is no stop day. Only thing you can notice here is the cash advance. Everything else looks regular. That is the lumber 135. It was paid back here, and that is the trailer parts. We are now in October 13, 2018. Here there is a miscellaneous, $65. A miscellaneous, something I don't know what it is. When you say miscellaneous, very sloppy way of accounting. This is how many miles the company keep making the miscellaneous statements. It's a confusing thing. It's a very sloppy way of cooking the books, because you don't know what miscellaneous means. Everything here is miles, except the miscellaneous. The last one is miscellaneous, $65. I drove from California to Utah, from Utah to California, from California to California. Deductions are as usual. Now we are in October 20, 2018. Everything here is just miles only, 2,133 miles. That's how much money I made from California to Texas, from Texas to Utah, and that is the miles, the numbers of the miles, the rate, and the earnings. The deductions are as usual except the cash advance. We are now October 27, 2018. Those are the miles. That is how much I made for a trip from Utah to Texas. That is all 1,432 miles. Drive this distance take you 3 days. On the 3 days, that's what you make. November 3rd, 2018, there is a miscellaneous $65 here, and that is the miles I drove. 2,862 miles. That's very good, because the week before we were left. From Texas to New York, from New York to Georgia, from Georgia to Alabama. That is how much money I made. There is a miscellaneous here. Everything is miles. The deductions are as expected. We are now November 10th, 2018. There is miscellaneous here, $50. Those are the miles I made for a trip from Georgia to Texas, from Texas to Texas. And there is a miscellaneous here, and from Texas to Georgia. We are now November 17th, 2018. The miles here are still low, 1,500. That's how much money I made for a trip from Georgia to North Carolina, from North Carolina to New Hampshire. That's how much money I made. Now we see New Hampshire here for the first time. There is statutory deduction, but there are no benefit deduction. And that is the advance. We are now in November 24th, 2018. The miles here compensate for the last week, 2,890 miles. That's how much money I made. A trip from ME, Michigan. ME is Massachusetts, to Iowa. From South Carolina to Georgia. Or from Missouri to Georgia. From Georgia to Florida. And that is how much I made. Everything here are miles. There is no detention. The deductions are as expected, except the cash advance, $125. You ask why 125, not 100? Because 125 is the maximum they allow you to take cash from the card at a store. That is December 1st, 2018, and there is a miscellaneous here, $65. And there is a tarp unload for $75. I don't do tarp unload because I don't do flatbed, but that is a way they can tried to fix something. They made a mistake, so they give you $75. This is not an accurate way of accounting. That is how many miles I drove that week. Very little miles per week. The miscellaneous is $65. This is a miscellaneous. The tarp unload is 70. That is a trip from Georgia to Florida, from Florida to Florida, because the tarp unload from Florida to Arkansas. And that's how little money I made in that. Deductions, that is expected. There is a cash advance, but it's split into other things. Because there is $200 here. Say others. What others mean, I have no idea. Depend on the person who is doing the accounting. That's supposed to be a number. We are now in December 8th, 2018, and everything here are miles only. That is 2,200 almost mile. That's how much money I made for a trip from Arkansas to Illinois, from Illinois to Missouri, from Kansas to Tennessee. Everything here are miles. There are no detention, and the deductions are as expected. Those are. Now we are in December 15, 2018. There is a miscellaneous here, $65. And those are the miles I made. Most probably because the miles are low, they try to compensate you for some. That was a trip from Tennessee to Colorado, from Colorado to Colorado. The miscellaneous is for that trip. So that's two items are miles and one is miscellaneous. The deductions that is expected, there are two extra items here, cash advance and another advance. That advance was paid here for the lumber, and here are parts, and that is a scale, and that 50 cents or surface charge. Now we are in December 22nd, 2018. There are two stop pay here, $60, and that is a huge mileage for a week. It's a week and something, 3,076 miles for a trip from Colorado to Arizona, from Arizona to Colorado, from Colorado to Utah, and that one is just a stop. It has two stop pay on it. So these two are three are miles, and that is stop pay. Deductions. Everything is expected except these two items, and one of them, that one was paid here and here. The other one, that 119, the 250, that was cash advance. Now we are the last week of 2018, December 29th. No miles, miscellaneous. There are no miles there, that is zero. Everything here is zeroed here, and there is not much to talk about. Now we are in 2019, January 5th. That is the miles, as you see, compensated for the last week. Not much. That is only $2,300 in 1 week. It's not a lot of miles. And that's how much I made. In the holidays, around the New Year, they ask you to work Christmas, New Year, and Thanksgiving, and when you go to work, there is nothing. So you get stuck. You spend your holidays in the parking lots instead of staying at home. That's from Utah to Oregon, from Oregon to Arizona. That is cross country. From far north to far south. From Arizona to California. And everything here are miles, no miscellaneous, no stop pay. That's how much money I made. Only thing here is cash advance in the deductions. We are now January 12, 2019. The miles are not bad at all, 3,006 miles. How much money I made for a trip from California to Nebraska, from Nebraska to California again. And that's how much money I made. You look at the deductions, there is nothing strange about it. We are now January 19, 2019. The miles are not bad, 2,375. So much money I made from California to Georgia. I remember that trip. California to Georgia, I did that twice in 2 weeks. That's 2,375. I did it back and forth in January 2019. That was a beautiful trip. Transporting, I think, some kind of machinery or air conditioning stuff. Air conditioning, I think. And here the statutory benefits deductions are paid, but the benefits are not. Back again, another trip. There is a stop pay here, $30, and the miles here are not bad at all, 3,241. Look at the trip here. It's from Georgia again to California. I did that twice, back and forth. There is one stop pay, and the second one is from California to Utah, and that's how much money. That was one of the best weeks I have in my career with Crete. The deductions here are as expected, except the cash advance. Now we are in February 2nd, 2019. There is no mile here because the last week was very, very busy. So there is not much here to talk about. Everything is zero. Now we are February 9th, 2019. The miles increased very high, 3,566 miles, and there's 5 stop day. 5. Why 5? Because I went back to the lousy DC of Cheyenne. 75. You can tell from here. From Utah to Arizona. From Arizona to Utah. From Utah to Colorado. And from Colorado, since I am at Loveland, Colorado, I got stuck in the Cheyenne, DC. The Cheyenne, DC, in this time of the year, in February, they need people so bad. If you look carefully, starting from Wyoming, you go into Wyoming. That is because it is a Walmart, DC. And here from Wyoming to Colorado, that is Loveland, Colorado. The same another, because it is Walmart, you have the stop here, one stop $15, here one stop $15, here 3 stops, $45, and the rest are mileage. And the deductions are as expected except the cash advance. We are now in February 16th. The miles dropped a little, but the stops are increased. 6 stop day here. 6 times 15, that is $90. Because I am still here with Walmart, Cheyenne, DC. And that is the place where Danny, the manager, the crazy guy that keeps calling me for why I did not deliver on time. We are in February, my friend. February, working between Wyoming and coming back to Wyoming, over the mountains to deliver to all the cities inside the Rockies. Have to go through all the mountain passes, Rabbit Ears, Loveland, Vail, Wolf something, all these passes you have to go through them. You have a stop day here, you have a stop here, 2 stops here, 1 stop here, and 2 stops here, and the rest are mileage from DC back to the DC. There is no cash advance here, there is only parts. We are now February 23, 2019, 7 stops. 7 stops here, each one is $15, 105, and those are the miles. Because the miles dropped, the stops increases because you stop a lot between the stores. Don't make too much money, but you work very hard. All the stops here, as you see, from Wyoming back to Wyoming, all of them, or Colorado. This is Loveland, Colorado. From the DC back to the DC. Here there are 3 stops. There is 2 stops. There are 2 stops. The rest are mileage. Here is the problem. Start from here. When I notice there is no detention for a long time, very soon you are going to see where the problem is. Here is cash advance. Here is starting having the 401k deduction. It's the first time I saw it. I think that's the first time I participated in the 401k. For now, March 2nd, 2019, the miles dropped badly, and that was a trip from Wyoming to Utah. That was the end of my work, lousy DC of Cheyenne. That was a terrible job. Delivering perishable in reefers is not fun at all. A lot of work, too little money. That is the 401k here. Only thing new. We are now on March 9th, 2019. There is a miscellaneous $65. There is a stop day of $30. And the miles start increasing. 2,373. Trip from Utah to Utah. And there is a stop day on it. The trip from Utah to Washington, from Washington to California, from California to California, and there is a miscellaneous here, and there is a stop day here. And here in the deductions, you have cash advance here, that will be back in these two, the $479. And there is 401k right here. Those are the two new. We have miscellaneous. Miscellaneous make it questionable accounting issue. Now we are in April 16th. Sorry, in March 16th. We are in March 16, 2019. The miles are not bad. That is a regular. That is supposed to be 2,562 miles per 1 week. That is the way it's supposed to be. If the company takes care of you, you're supposed to make that much. That's from California to Colorado, and from Colorado to Wisconsin. That's how much money, all miles here. No detention, nothing. The deduction, cash advance here, and the 401k here. We are still in March 2019 on the 23rd. The miles dropped a little here for a trip from Wisconsin to Nebraska, from Nebraska to Alabama. And the deductions have only the 401k. The end of March 2019, that is how many miles I drove. That is miscellaneous $65. Doesn't make any sense. That amount of money was paid back here, and that is the 401k, and that is a cash advance. That was a trip from Georgia to Utah, from Utah to Utah, and that is a miscellaneous 65 cents. We are now into April 6, 2019. The miles are huge here. 3,131. The rate, that was the rate at the end of my employment. 51 cents per mile. That's the trip from Utah to Wisconsin, from Iowa to Virginia, from Virginia to Michigan. And the rate, as you see, 51 cents. Everything here are miles only. This cash advance here, there is 401k. Now we are in April 13, 2019. The miles dropped. That was a trip from Michigan to Ohio, from Ohio to New York, from New York to Virginia. Everything here are miles. There are no detention, no miscellaneous. The lack of detention is going to cause a problem very soon. Because you get a lot of detention, you're not going to get paid for it, you have a problem. That cash advance will be paid back here in these two statements, and that is the 401k. Now we are in April 20, 2019. The miles are not bad. That is a trip from Virginia to Illinois, from Illinois to Colorado, from Colorado to Utah. Everything here are miles. No detention here too. Detention means you are, as the customer took too long. With Crete, they said more than 1 hour. With Swift, 2 hours. With other companies, 2 hours. Those are the hours you are not getting paid for them. That's that's illegal. In Walmart, it's 45 minutes. You can wait 45 minutes. After that, you get paid. There is a 401k. We are now in April 27, 2019. There is a down time $8. That is how many miles I drove from Utah to Washington, and the down time for that. Even they did not tell you what trip. They put just zero from Idaho to Utah, and that's how much money you make in that week. There is a 401k deduction here. Now we are in May 4th, 2019. The miles are not bad. There is five stop day here, $75. That means I went back to some. Yes, I remember. This is the one that got me to quit my job. This is an Oklahoma war. This is the week that started the troubles. There's five stops here. Started from Utah to Nebraska, from Colorado to Oklahoma. When I got in Oklahoma, I got stuck in that DC and Oklahoma for some time, for more over a week. If you look at it, you started from Oklahoma, you're going back to Oklahoma, from Oklahoma to Oklahoma, from Oklahoma to Oklahoma, which means it's the DC. It has stop here, two stops here, one stop here. It has two stops here, and the rest are mines. In that Oklahoma Walmart, it was fun to work there, but it was completely strange for me, that part of the country. It was also in a time where Texas was flooded by water. Deduction, there is only 401k. Now we have three deductions. So we have three stop pay. That is May 11, 2019. That is the miles I do. Those are the number of stops. As you see, it is from Oklahoma to Oklahoma, which means a DC, a Walmart DC. That is why it has the stops. You stop in one store. Here I stopped twice. Here I stopped once. When I asked them for the detentions, they said I have to call. When I called, I discovered there was a problem. The 401k deduction only here. Now we are in May 18, 2019. There is miscellaneous $65. Nobody knows what it is. Those are the miles I drove. It's from Idaho to California. From California to California. From California to Utah. And there is a miscellaneous $65 for that trip of California. And there's a 401k here, but the benefits are not paid. There are parts here and there is a scale here. Why the benefits are not paid sometimes, I don't know yet, or I might never know. That is May 25th, 2019. The miles are not bad. That is a trip from Utah to Wisconsin, from Iowa to Texas. Only 401k here, and there is a cash advance here. June 1st, 2019. There is a downtime $100 here. That is how many miles I drove. The downtime, they did not say which trip. From Texas to Iowa, from Nebraska to Ohio. That is how much money I made. And there is 401k here. There are tolls here also. And there is a scale. We are in June 8, 2019. The miles are great here, 2,599. There is one stop bay, a trip from Ohio to Wisconsin, from Wisconsin to Texas, from Texas to Iowa, from Texas to Iowa stop pay for $30. And here there is 401k, that 100, there is a cash advance 125, and that cash advance is going to be paid on this for the pallets and for the lumber. We are now June 15, 2019. The miles dropped, and we have here downtime $125. The downtime, which means I broke or something, that is a downtime $125, and that is a trip. That's how much money I made. There is only 401k here. There are no other deductions. We are now June 22nd, 2019. The miles dropped severely for a trip from Colorado to Utah, 580 miles. The taxes also are cut, the federal income tax and the state taxes. There is 401k was taken from it. The benefits are as usual. We are now June 29, 2019. The miles dropped. There is pickup truck. I have to pick up from Denver. That they paid me $272 to pick up the truck, and the stop pay for $1. I have to they give me a car from Utah to drive to Colorado, where somebody left the truck in the parking lot. That is a trip from Utah to Washington and that's the stop pay on that trip, and that is a pickup of the truck. Here there is only 401k deduction. Now we are in July 6, 2019. The miles here are great, 3,747. There is a stop pay of $30. A trip from Washington to California, from California to Colorado, from Colorado to Oklahoma, from Oklahoma to Alabama, from Oklahoma, and that's a stop for the Oklahoma of $30. Only one stop. The rest are miles. There's no detention here. Here is the 401k. July 13, 2019. Because the last week the miles were too much, here the miles dropped. That is a trip from Ohio to Florida. 1,012 miles. There is 401k here in the deduction. We are now on July 20th. The miles are very low. There is the detention here. That's the first time I see the detention. $303.75. That's after I caused a problem. I raised the issue. Why there is no detention? They said because I did not file the paperwork. I said I filed the electronic documents. They started paying me, but there was an argument that will cause me later to quit the job, and they have to pay me back all the money that they did not pay me for a year and a half. Here is a cash advance. Here is 401k. It was a trip from Florida to Georgia, and that was the detention, the $3.75. Now we are in July 27, 2019. Those are the miles. 4,152 miles. How did you do that? Of course, that over more than a week. A trip from Alabama to Utah, from Utah to Texas, from Texas to Minnesota. That is the miles, that is the rate, and that is the earning for every trip, and there is a 401k. Of course, when you look carefully, you discover that the trip from Alabama to Utah, that is the one that 2,000 miles and 139. And the trip from Texas to Minnesota, that is 1,120 miles. That was the last week of my employment, that is August 3rd, 2019. That is the miles I drove in that week, from a trip from Iowa to Illinois, from Illinois to New Jersey, from Pennsylvania to Indiana. That's how much money I made. There is no detention here. There is 401k. Now the second week of August 2019, almost 10 days after that date, I was already working for Walmart. That is the last week for me. That is how many miles I drove. Very good. If you look at the miles, they are not bad. That is the last week. 2,650. But I was already limping with severe pain in my right knee and right hip that was preventing. I thought I would be handicapped forever in that week. From the clutching, from the lack of rest, from not going home very often, I was already walking dead man. I was already in a terrible shape. I thought I would never work again in trucking after that week. I drove from Kentucky to Iowa, from Iowa to New Mexico, from New Mexico to Missouri, from Kentucky to Iowa, and that is how much money I made, and that is the 401k, and that's the cash advance. Then now I quit my job. I quit Crete on the August 17th. You see here there is 0 miles, there is 0 taxes, everything here is zeroed. Even the 401k is zero. There is no cash advance, nothing. What happened on the August 24th is zero. I did not work for anything. I was already at that time by Walmart. I already moved to Walmart. Walmart accepted me. After to get to Walmart, you have to have experience at least 30 months, and you have to have a job. They have to have a vacancy for you. You have to be very close to within 250 miles from the place where there is a vacancy, and you have to have no accidents and no tickets. Here's what Crete did to me. That is now August 31. I already quit my job, but they have to pay me all the money that they did not pay for detention. They consider it vacation. They call it vacation. They call this money vacation. How much money they made? They paid me back. They paid me $5,625 after a lot of arguing, because they claimed that I did not file the paperwork for detention, and I filed the electronic work. And when I argued with them, the terminal manager said I cannot get my money back more than 3 months because that is labor intensive. She was an ignorant. When I talked to the human resources, they said you are going to take your money back. It will take a while. That is how much money they paid me for detention. That was August 31st, 2019. They said I already quit my job. Where did they get that from? They got it from somewhere. They are very good at that. Most probably that's the last week. That is miles I drove, and they said there is a vacation here. How much is the vacation? $2,000 vacation. 10-unit vacation, or 10 hours or something. Don't know what that number is. What's the rate? How do you get that number? That's a huge number. Another vacation here, $900. Anyway, this is how much money they have to pay me for money that they did not pay me over a year and a half. At that time, I already made that much money, 41,000 by August 2019. It was not bad. Let us go back again. There is nothing here you can tell. They made everything look like a vacation. And that is a quantity. What quantity, what earning, what rate, you have no idea. They kept adding this money to come up with 5,000. But the deductions were huge. Look at the deductions here. The deductions here were huge. They did not pay they also paid the benefit, even though I quit my job. With that, I still talking to the Department of Labor. This is how much was the check. I talking to the Department of Labor because they charged me $140 for cleaning the truck. You sleeping in the truck for 3 years, 3 years, and they charge you $140 claiming the truck was dirty. They tried to do that when I first got my job with Crete. I changed the truck 3 times in the first week. Every time they say the truck is quit, really, there is nothing to give back. Now, in September 29th, 2019, I already have no job with Crete. I was already on Walmart. So everything here is zeroed. Everything here is zeroed. And we are finished with Crete. We are now at Crete spreadsheet Excel. We enter the data for almost 142 weeks, starting from August 20, 2016, all the way to August 31st, 2019. We are missing few weeks of information. I counted them. We have 9 here, the brown one, 9 days. Another 2 days here, that is 11. One here, that is 12. 4 here, that's 16. One here, that's 17. And there is a line on the top, a row at the top. This row that making 18. When you subtract 18 out, total number 160, it gives you exactly 142 weeks. So let us do the algebra, the statistical analysis. First, we need to get the sum. Sum day over the 142 weeks. How do you do the sum? Come, as we did before, you click on this cell. We are going to click on this cell. Then we are going to introduce the function here in the function line. This is the function line in Excel. Now we're getting better into doing it. We click on this cell, we go to the function line, we put equal sign, and we put the sum, and open parentheses, and we come on column B. We need to clean what we did now. Click on the first cell in column B, go all the way down, we hold the shift down, and we click on this cell. That is the sum. We close the parentheses. So the sum is over P2 to B160. B means column number B. 2 is row number 2. The column number B, row number 160. And you put enter. This is all the money I made in 142 weeks. 145,179. That's how much money I made in 142 weeks. Let us extend that function over this cell. We don't need that column. Let us go back again to see what are these columns as a reminder. The first column is the date, the gross pay, the state taxes, the federal withholding, the year income, year-to-date income, the federal insurance contribution, the federal trust municipal. Okay, so now that is the sum of each one of this column. We put bold on. That's how much money. Let me zoom. That is how much money I made over 142 weeks, 142 weeks. $145,000. That is how much the state took, $6,841. That is how much the federal government took, or withheld it. That's $17,200. $1,213. And that is the year-to-date income, but that is not important now because that's 3 years. That will show up in the curve. And that is how much money went to the Social Security, $8,669. And that is how much money went for the Medicare and Medicaid, that's $2,050. It is now average that on the 142. So we are going to get the average now, the weekly average. On each one of these functions, each one of these columns. We click here and we go to the equal. What do I need? I need this function divided, that value divided by 142 weeks. Enter. That will give you how much money I made. So that is Crete. As you see, the function is decent. Crete is a decent in that term. Let us extend all these functions, and we are going to color this to make that bold, and we make it green just to distinguish from the rest, or yellow. Okay. That is how much you made by Crete every week, average. And that is how much goes to the state, and that goes to the federal government, and that goes for the Social Security, and that goes for the Medicare and the Medicaid. Now you wanted to have the percentage. Say this would be your 100%, that weekly. You come here and you click on the function line equal, and you want this cell, you want it to divide by, here you do not want to put the other cell, the cell of the income. We are going to put $1,022.51, which is the average weekly. Let us do back again. We need to multiply that by 100 to give you a percentage. That is how much money, but that percentage from 100. Let us extend that. That gives you the percentage of each of this column. We don't need that now. We don't need that cell now. This is a year-to-date income. That is the percentage of the weekly average. Let us make this line different color. First, make it bold and give it another color, say blue. That is the percentage. Now you wanted to know the total percentages, that's deduction. We come here and cell and we say equal, and we need to sum all the percentages of the 4 columns from here to here, and you close that is how much money percentage taken from the $100 when you work for Crete, and that is how much you make with Crete every week. Let us go to the 23 percentage. Let us remember this number. With Crete, you're making $1,000, $22 every week average. 23% of them, or 24%, are taken by the state and the federal deductions and Social Security and this stuff. Now, let us go to the Swift. Compare this number. In Swift, the numbers are very mediocre. In Swift, compare the two. Crete, in Swift, every week you make about 629. In Crete, you make 1,000 something. And the deduction here, the total deduction from you is about that much money. It's 25% deduction. Compared to Crete, that is 1,000, and that's 2,300 or 24% deduction. Let us now go to Kelly Transport. In Kelly Transport, that is how much you make every week, and that's how much deduction. Better than Swift, but less than Crete. Let us now go to Balkan Express. Balkan Express is no much different from carry transports, and the deduction are less because they don't take the state tax. They don't do the state tax. Now we need to go back to Crete and do the curve. The first curve we need to do are on the gross income. We click on the gross income and we say insert chart. It will give you the chart because I am missing a few days, about 18 days. I am going to make the chart this kind, which is scattered but not connected. Next, there is some connection here. I have to remove to start from number 2, not number 1, and end up at number 160, not number 64. That will make a lot of difference. That is the curve. The title of the chart is weekly pay. The x-axis is the date. The y-axis is the pay in dollars. And we are going to see what is that. Yes, that is enough. We make it here. That is good. That's 5,000. Now I know why this is point that is sitting all the way. Let us now do some adjustment on the axis. Let us do it on source of data. That is a column, and is a series. X-axis is right here. And it will ask you, what do you want from x-axis? Right here. And we are going to put x-axis here. When you are good at Excel, you can enter it by text instead of clicking to here. That is x-axis. And we say go. So the x-axis now is the date. Now we can do some formatting of the x-axis. Make the alignment this way easy, and make the scale every 40. That is good. That is perfect. And we can make other adjustment on the chart option, on the grid. Make the grid measure and measure. That is perfect. And we can change the color of the chart, black area. We can make the area this kind of color, and we can make the color of the border. We can leave that alone. That is good. So now this is the information from Crete. As you see, that point, that $5,000, that is when I complained about the detention and they paid me $5,000. That is at the last check. That is when I quit. I was already out of the company when they paid me that. If you look at how much you make, everything falls around 1,000. Almost everything falls around in this area, around $1,000 in Crete. And that is a very good average, because the average here is done over a long period of time. The average here is done over 142 weeks. Let us now go to the second curve that is of interest, how much money you make to date, year-to-date income, and we put here. Before we do that, we need to create a new chart. Enter worksheet, and we are going to change that, rename. Now the year-to-date, click on the year-to-date, insert, chart. I need that kind of chart, and I want that chart to be connected. And that will, yes, that is a perfect, that is what I expect. The year to date, that's what I expect. The series, the x-axis will be the x-axis, which is the date, from here to here. Year to date growth with Crete starting from August 18, 2016 to August 31st, 2019. The first year, by the end of 2016, that is how much money I made. There is missing information here. Something is missing in this period. So I don't have enough data on that year. In the second year, I made almost, that is $51,057 in the first year. That is 2017. 2018, I made $51,911. So that's not much profit. That is $51,911. That is in year number 2. That is 2018. Then I quit on the 2019. When I quit, I was already there for 8 months. In 8 months, I made about $41,972. Compare now Crete, almost a year, you're making about 51,000 or 52,000, 52 grand a year. That is with Crete. Let us go to Swift. Swift, let us take 6 months from the beginning of December to the end of, or to the beginning of July. Let us take this number as an average. That is no more than 15,000 in 6 months. So with Swift, you make about 30,000 a year. $30,000 a year. That is no more than that in Swift. Let us go to Balkan graph. In Balkan, I did not finish a whole year. I started in the beginning of 16, but let us go to July. Here is July. How much money you make here? You make about 20,000 in 6 months. So with Balkan Express, you make 40,000 a year. $40,000 a year with Balkan Express. That is compared to 51 with Crete. Teletransport, you cannot charge them much because I did not stay too long. If you take the beginning of 1 month, in 1 month, don't make much with teletransport.